About 3 years ago, I quit porn. I have not watched any porn for over 1,000 days now. And this isn't really a topic which I typically talk about, but I've come to realize that this is actually a way bigger problem than I originally thought. Just by speaking to people around me, my students, a lot more people are still addicted to porn than I imagined. I was actually watching Joe Rogan a few days ago, and there was these comedians that were on, and they were talking about how they watch porn.
But I live with my girlfriend. I don't watch porn when we're together. I was home the last 2 weeks. I didn't whack off once to porn.
I've been known to slink off, dude.
As soon as I got to this hotel in Austin,
yeah.
I was, it was time. You forget how good porn is, dude. You look at it, you're like, yo.
And they're in their 30s, maybe even 40s at this point. And I'm sat there and I'm thinking like, fuck me, like, I think porn's a bigger issue than I imagined. I'm sure there's quite a lot of you guys who watch me who struggle with this as well. So I'm going to talk about my journey and how I stopped watching porn, because it's not really something I've ever talked about. So it's not exactly the coolest topic, but it's very fucking important, guys, and I'm here to continue to deliver you guys what you need to hear, whether it's fucking cool or not. So I started watching porn when I was like, fuck me, like I was 12. I was 12 when I started watching porn, and while my mom is out the house sneaking off with the laptop and opening an incognito tab and typing in boobs, you know, it starts off very innocent like that, and for a while it wasn't really a big issue. Like, I wasn't immediately super hooked to it like some people are, where, you know, they discover it and it's just like, oh well, fucking hell, I can do this 16 times a day, that's awesome. That wasn't really a problem for me, but man, as time went on, it started to become less innocent in that sense. There's nothing innocent about porn, don't get me wrong, but as I continued to watch porn, I found myself just delving deeper and deeper into fetishes and just darker material, you know. I think porn started to become an issue for me when I was 15 years old, 16 years old. That's when I really started to watch it on quite a regular basis. And it started off, you know, I'd open up the hub and, you know, front page, something would tickle my fancy and I'd just crank out a fucking wank to that. But, you know, a year in, that stuff wasn't really doing it for me anymore, you know, like just some vanilla fucking sex wasn't that exciting. And then I started to see some interesting like material, and I was like curious, like, you know, what's this about? And then I started to develop a lot more darker fetishes. There's a real underbelly to sex in general, and I started to, you know, fucking end up on like page 7, page 8 of the main screen before I found something which really fucking, you know, got me going. And there's real levels to this as well. I didn't get to a crazy degree. I'll reference those comedians on a podcast again. It was actually quite an intimate moment because Matt actually started talking about how he got fucking addicted to trans porn.
That could be an issue.
Joe, I'll tell you, it is.
You don't want to get caught with that.
Well, here's
stuff.
the thing. It's just a ramping up of like, talking about super normal stimuli, dude. That's why I'm so passionate about that. It's like your brain, you need like the edge. And this was my problem with it. I didn't have a drug problem. I could never like stop drugs or whatever. But then it's like you get the blood flowing on sex stuff. It's like that's not getting it flowing. You go to like something a little bit more kind of out there, and then you finally you land on those shores and you go, my God, my God, where have I gone?
He's a straight guy, you know, I believe that to be the case. I think he is a straight guy, but there's something really fucked up which happens to your brain when you're consuming porn, and you just start to want more and more like outlandish shit, and it really fucks with your relationship with sex as well. Thankfully, I didn't reach that stage, but no doubt about it, the more time that went on that I was watching porn, the more outlandish and darker shit that I was getting into. And I'm sure most of you guys can probably relate to this watching the video, because it happens to pretty much everyone who's watching porn on a regular basis. You used to see a pair of boobs and think, fuck yeah, you know. Nowadays it's like, I have to watch a woman get fucking sellotaped to the ceiling and beat with an out-of-date French baguette. Otherwise, I simply cannot come. And during this time, I was a young, horny guy, and I would be sexting girls. And the thing is, because I was watching porn, man, my sexting was loose as fuck, dude. Holy shit. Like, I would just be so forward and just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this and this and this. Devious levels of sexting from a, 16-year-old virgin Sam. And I'm making all these promises, which I cannot keep. Fucking hell, like, dude, I'm a total virgin, fucking, how about you start off by having some fucking, how about you kiss a girl, dude? So what this did was, when I was texting a girl, I would create all of these crazy expectations, and I already was suffering with anxiety. So when it came to, oh, let's meet up, I had already set such insanely high expectations that the amount of anxiety that not only myself but she felt as well made it so I pretty much never actually went through with meeting up with a girl and having sexual relations with her, which is kind of sad. I ended up losing my virginity when I was 22 or 23 years old, but I was a horny guy. Like, I still am. But like, I was a horny guy at 16 years old. And yeah, sure, I was a quieter kid and I wasn't popular and I had a bit of anxiety, but I did attract a certain caliber of girl. It used to be a bit of a joke amongst me and my friends, but I always attracted this type of girl who was very quiet and nerdy, but was low-key an absolute freak. And that was all well and good when we were pinging off text to each other, but when it come to actually moving things forward, that never happened. And the reason why that didn't happen is because porn was fucking up my brain. Big time. Big time. I started seeing sex like, not what it should be, man. Not what it should be. Sex was, for me, like a conquest. Don't get me wrong, it kind of still is for me. I like all that devious shit. I do. I am a bit of a fucking freak like that. But above all else, what porn does is it removes the soul connecting element that comes with having sex, which is absolutely 100% the most important aspect of sex for me. Which is why, generally speaking, I really try my best to avoid casual sex encounters, especially in low vibration environments like the club, because most of the time when I end up attracting a girl in that environment and I'm out of my mind hammered and I end up taking her back and we do the deed, afterwards, I think in hindsight, that was kind of lame because we don't actually have that much in common. I haven't connected very well with your fucking soul. Frankly, some of the times I don't even respect them. They're just fucking smacking a vape every 10 seconds. And here I am sharing the most intimate act that I can possibly share with another human being. And sad. The thing is, when you're watching porn, you're kind of tricking your brain into doing that every single day, maybe even multiple times a day. You are wanking your cock and you're not thinking about, oh, this porn star that I'm watching, like, we have a really solid connection right now. We're really getting along. We're really soul connecting right now. You're not thinking that. You're just like, that's a fucking nice rack. I'm going to spaff all over your rack. It really destroys your relationship with women and with sex itself. And quite frankly, boys, I didn't have any luck with women until I quit porn. That's the truth. So you're supplementing your lack of interaction with women with porn, but the supplementation is actually stealing away your ability to actually connect with awesome women and share awesome sexual, intimate experiences with them, which to me is a terrible trade-off, man. It's kind of like if you take a supplement, let's say you're vitamin D deficient. You take a supplement which gives you 10% of your vitamin D needs for the day, but then what it also does is it literally makes it so you cannot get any more vitamin D from the sun. So you're only getting 10% of what you need from the supplement, and you're also stealing the opportunity to gather more vitamin D from the sun. Maybe vitamin D is not a very good example because there's some sexual innuendos there that you could make. Either way, that's what I went with. And you know what, boys? For a while, I knew all of this, right? I'm telling you all of this, and you're probably sat there thinking like, yeah, like, you know, I've heard all this before. Porn bad, talking to women IRL good. Yes, Sam, fucking very unique. But I didn't really do shit about it for a while. And this might be the stage that you're in right now. You're in the struggler stage. You know what you should do, but you continue to rubber band back to where you were. So you might have the idea in your head, you're fucking, before you go to bed at night, you're thinking, man, I fucked up today. I did this and this and this and this wrong. Fucking hell, I need to lock in, man. And you're agitated. You're in your bed and your eyes are wide open. You're like, fuck, man, like tomorrow, that's it, man. I'm a changed man tomorrow. Things are gonna be real fucking different from now on. I'm gonna fucking be a savage. Let's go. Yeah, and then you fall asleep. You wake up the next day and you are a pussy. You're a pussy when you wake up, and you need to prove to yourself every single day that you're not a pussy as soon as you wake up, because everyone wakes up a bit of a pussy. You're a bit groggy. You're like, oh, fucking, whatever. I just smash the alarm. Like, no, I just don't want to do anything, whatever. You have to continually prove to yourself every day that you are who you say you are. The problem is you wake up and you're probably horny. I wake up fucking bricked up every day. So it's a little mental battle that you have to have, because you could wake up, stick on some porn, and you know, that seems like the right thing to do in that moment because that's what your brain is craving. However, when you do that, you immediately betray your new self-image, which you're trying to impose upon yourself. It doesn't feel like a big deal in the moment because it's just like, one more time wanking, who cares? But you continue to cope in the same sense, and that's why you keep rubber banding back. For me, I'd be like, okay, I have to lock in, and then I'd go like 1 or 2 days without porn, fucking awesome. But then, one night, you know, I'm just fucking out of my mind horny, and that is the hardest part, when you're actually trying to quit and you're like 1 to 2 days in and you're just like, fucking, oh my God, you're lying in bed and you're just bricked out of your mind. That's when God is really truly testing you, and I would continue to fail that test. And then I'll just continue rubber banding back. It's not a big deal, you know, I've done 2 days. I would come up with little reasons like, oh, if I just jack off once every 2 days rather than once every fucking day or twice every day, then that's progress. But that's a slippery slope, and you're now negotiating with yourself, and that is why you can't quit. That's why your self-image is still the same. That's why you're still jacking off to porn. It's in those small little pockets where you make those micro decisions which will ultimately determine who you are. Are you who you say you are, who you identify as, or are you a guy who doesn't keep his word and jacks off to porn when it gets a little bit difficult? That is probably the stage that you're at. I'm going to take you back to the day where I genuinely quit porn now, and this was my trigger. And look, your trigger might be a little bit different, because the truth be told, that agitation that you feel, and probably the reason why you're watching this video and you're just like, fucking, you know, you kind of hate yourself a little bit, like, why do I keep fucking doing this? That agitation is all of the fuel that you need to quit. The problem is, a lot of people, they allow themselves to justify that agitation. They're like, well, I'm trying my best. Fine. Your ability to hold yourself to higher standards will ultimately determine how long you remain stuck in that struggler stage. If you're the type of guy to hear me say, oh, well, you should not play video games ever, and then you have pushback on that and you say, well, no, Sam, an hour a day is fine, then you are in a self-imposed prison, and that is going to carry over into every facet of your life, not only just how you play video games. If you're okay with playing video games for 1 hour a day, even though you know it hijacks your brain, and you know that it's going to have a lasting effect on your mental clarity, then you are absolutely certainly going to negotiate with yourself with how you watch porn as well. The way you do one thing is how you do everything, you understand? The higher standards you hold for yourself, the less time you'll spend in this struggle stage. I was agitated over this for about, realistically, 8 months, which is quite a long time. Actually quite a long time. And for sure, during those 8 months, I cut back on the amount of porn that I was watching, for sure. Which is a good start, but not good enough, because frankly, any amount of porn is enough to really fuck with your brain. It really is. I can't stress to you enough, now that I have not watched porn for 3 years, how unbelievably different my mind is, and how I interact with the world, how I interact with women, how I carry myself. It's totally different. And if I was just like, lock in on a porn session once a week because I don't have a girl to have sex with, for example, that would be enough to totally change my self-image, and therefore change how I carry myself, and therefore change how the world treats me and how I navigate the world. That's how big of a deal this shit is. You really can't have it in between. You watch porn, you don't watch porn. There's no in between. If there's an in between, your brain is going to choose the easier option every single time, okay? That is the truth. That's why I'm very binary and autistic with my thinking. An hour of video games a day is going to lead to you wasting a ton of time. It will. You have a weak moment, you're gonna play an extra 5 minutes one day, and then it's 10 minutes, and you're wasting time. You don't have fucking time to waste. You don't have time to waste. The more time that you're exposing yourself to the absolutely castrating effects that porn has on your mind and your ability to attract women, the less experience you're having with women. And that's the brutal reality you need to hear. I got into my first serious relationship when I was 22, 23 years old. Funnily enough, shortly after I quit porn. And you know what happened? I absolutely, completely and utterly did not carry myself in that relationship in a way which is becoming of my James Bond self-identity, okay? I made a ton of mistakes. I fell into a ton of traps. Do you want to know why I did that? It's because I was inexperienced with women. You could meet an awesome girl, and because you haven't had the experiences with women, and you've not experienced the traps that you can fall into, and you don't know how to navigate certain scenarios, you could potentially completely mess up your relationship, the longevity of your relationship, how you frame the relationship, how you carry yourself in a relationship, because you right now are choosing to watch porn. You could seriously meet an awesome wifey tier woman, and you could mess it up because you don't have that experience. And that's the truth. You're almost certainly, boys, going to completely fuck up your first relationship. And maybe the one after that and the one after that as well, depending on how conscious you are of yourself and your behaviors and your ways of thinking, and how self-analytical you are and how emotionally intelligent you are. But almost certainly, I almost guarantee you, you'll completely fuck up your first relationship. So the more time you're watching porn, the absolutely less likely you're going to become to actually get into an awesome relationship, get that experience you need so that you can eventually carry yourself in a way which is becoming of the man you want to become, so that you can have an awesome, healthy relationship. Your kids can have an awesome, healthy relationship to mimic their own relationships off. All of this is directly correlated to your ability to stop watching fucking porn, because porn will make it impossible for you to have a healthy relationship. I promise you that. I've not structured this video at all, by the way. I don't structure my videos. I apologize if I'm jumping around a little bit. I hope this is still making sense for you guys. For 8 months, I knew what I had to do, I didn't do it. Or I started to try and do it and I kept rubber banding back. Do you know what the catalyst was for me? It was coming to the brutal realization that there are guys who are way less cooler than me, way less intelligent than me, way less conscious of me, who had girlfriends, who could carry themselves in a slick way around girls. And there's genuinely absolutely nothing stopping me from being able to do that outside of the fact that I was an absolute slave to these massive corporations producing this poison. And specifically, because I am a masculine red-blooded male, That part is probably the biggest reason why I quit. The idea of being a slave to another man who is basically milking me for all of my masculine essence and my ability to actually become the man I want to be, just so they could make money through advertisements, is the most cuck shit you could possibly imagine, if you think about it. Every time you watch porn, I want you to imagine some little fucking nerd like Mark Zuckerberg just milking you like a cow while they feed you poison and completely ruin your ability to fucking attract awesome women into your life. And think about it, those guys, the Mark Zuckerbergs, they're banging the women which you dream about banging, while they completely cripple your ability to get to that stage in life yourself. I honestly think that realization, as a red-blooded man and an ultra-competitive person at that, and also a petty person as well. Not that this is even petty, but when I imagine that, there was one day I woke up and I was like, I am never, ever, ever going to be milked by a Mark Zuckerberg-esque little dickhead ever again. I'm not doing it. But all of that has to be rooted in the foundational knowledge of why this shit's bad for you. It will destroy your ability to look at a woman and actually want to connect with her beautiful, feminine, soft soul, rather than framing it in such a demonic way. Women are incredible at picking up subconscious energy. They have to be. Their survival used to depend on their ability to choose a man who has her best interests at heart, who is going to protect her. That is built into their DNA. A woman can tell if you look at her in a lustful manner. And any good girl will run a million miles away from you. It's why even these guys who spout red pill nonsense permanently, even though they go to the gym, even though they have money, they still attract garbage tier women because they have never actually healed their relationship with women. They have a really negative perception of women. Stopping watching porn is just one of the many things that you need to wrap your head around before you start to attract awesome women into your life. But it may well be one of the most important foundational ones. And I'm telling you right now, as soon as I quit watching porn, everything started to actually click for me. And because I tied my ego so directly in with it, with the whole Mark Zuckerberg milking me metaphor, analogy, which I created in my own mind, it actually became so much easier. When I had a craving and I thought, oh, I wish I could jack off to porn, I would just literally imagine Mark Zuckerberg milking me like a cow. And then I was just like, well, you know, I'm not even interested anymore. Why the hell would I want to do that? I quit porn, and within a month, I suddenly had the drive and desire to want to understand and get better at talking to women, at actually attracting women into my life as well. Before that, I didn't really have any thoughts about that at all. I just thought I need to do the, you know, base level stuff to just attract as many women as I can so I can fuck them. Well, yeah, okay, go to the gym and be 10% funny and you can probably attract some fucking hoe. But when I quit porn, I started to see it a lot deeper than that, because I'm not just trying to attract a woman. I'm trying to attract the woman, you know? A woman who actually adds to my life, fills up my cup, isn't just there for me to have sex with. And I'll tell you this right now, if it is sex that you seek, I promise you, the type of sex you have with women who you connect with in an awesome way versus the woman who you pick up at the club and you are attractive enough and you have her favorite flavored vape, so therefore she lets you hit. The level of sex you have is so unbelievably different. Oh my God, bro. It is night and day. When I was a little bit younger, I was more inclined to just be like, oh, you know, whatever, I'm just gonna fuck because you know. Nowadays, I genuinely have such little interest in having sex with women who have nothing to offer me outside of she has a pussy. And the reason why that is because I have experienced both extremes. I've experienced having sex with a woman which leaves me wanting to fucking go outside, smoke a cigarette, and start journaling. And I've also experienced sex with a woman which fills me with such a ridiculous amount of masculine fire, and it feels so right. And you have like a primal, deep-seated desire to just, this sounds crazy, but to breed with this woman. It feels right. Like, this girl, I need to put my kids inside of her, you know. Holy fuck. And it's completely and utterly effortless to be around her. And you feel like the man. The sex is absolutely incredible. It's wild. It's fucking awesome. You feel rejuvenated after. You don't feel sapped for all of your masculine energy. It fucking fills you with a fire. You get out of bed, fucking cock still hard, ready to just fucking shadowbox, bro. You start shadowboxing because you just got this vigor towards life. You've got this fucking vigor that you will not find anywhere else. The difference is insane. And there are plenty of men who have never experienced that night and day difference, and that is why they look at women in such a nonchalant way and they think like, you know, whatever, you know, because it's all the same shit to them. But I've experienced both, and let me fucking tell you, oh my god. I think I've already told you, so I won't continue, but the fucking difference is insane. And I'm telling you right now, quitting porn is not enough to get to that level. Don't get me wrong, but it is impossible to get to that level until you quit porn. It's impossible to even begin that journey of understanding women and being able to connect with them soul-wise before you quit porn. So if you want to get to that stage and you want to meet awesome women who you give the fucking best sex of their lives to, and for fucking months afterwards, they send you texts saying, I dream about you every single night. You invade my fucking dreams like Nosferatu. I cannot get you out of my head no matter what I do. And the feeling's mutual as well. Like, you actually fucking really crave their energy because their energy fills you with fire. That journey begins with quitting porn, and there's a lot more to it, but fuck me, it gets real deep, and it's not shit that I can talk about on YouTube. There is a lot of nuance, and it is one hell of a journey for a man to go on to get to that stage, and it's going to be littered with pain, agonizing pain, paradigm shifts in your mind which will completely flip your worldview upside down. But it is a rite of passage as a man to reach that stage, and it takes a very brave man to go through that journey. Many men aren't willing to go through that journey. Many men fall at the first hurdle, and they never stop watching porn. If you want to give yourself a chance at having consistent, awesome experiences like that, it starts today, my friend. It starts with quitting porn. It starts with removing these blood-sucking parasites, these massive corporate conglomerates from your balls. They are leeches attached to your ballsack, sucking the masculine life force out of your fucking nuts every single day. It stops here. I have a lot more to say on this subject, but this video is getting quite long. If you want to talk to me more on this subject, and you also happen to want to begin an online business which can give you financial location and creative freedom, I'm active inside of my academy every day. I talk to my students not only about how they can become the best top 1% video editors in the world, but how they can become the top 1% men. And topics like this are talked about every single day inside of our private network, inside of the live events which happen on a bi-weekly basis. If you're interested, check it out. It's the first link in the description, and follow me on Instagram as well. From the time this video ends, you are no longer a porn watcher. Take care.